What's up, guys? So today we're over on the test server and we're going to be dipping our toes into the drama discussion debate on Crawl's Wallbreaker. Now, MTG Jedi saying he's awesome. Bronco saying he's useless. I like both these creators. I am also a massive fan of Nishak. I may even be the biggest fan of Nishak. I don't know, but I do use bombs a ton, specifically in one area of the game. In this area alone, if you are kind of on the fence, I think really should be the deciding factor if you're going to go for him or not. If you don't have a bomb champion already and you want to do clan siege successfully, go for the bomber. What bombs do that nothing else does is ignore defense. All of it. When bomb debuff expires, the affected champion suffers direct damage that ignores their defense value. The damage inflicted by the bomb scales per the stat indicated on the skill description. So for Crawls and Nishak both, which I'll be comparing, it's going to be attack scaling. So he's an attack champion. It's going to be scaling on his attack. Commodus is going to be HP. Commodus is amazing. He does have his own downsides, though, which I'm not going to compare him in this. But Crawls, Nishak both scale their bomb damage on attack, which means you're going to need a lot of attack if you're going to be bombing champions with massive HP pools, like enemy Nices, for example. It's difficult to kill them because they're going to sit with 100,000 HP in the first form and then a bunch in the second form. So unless you're damaging them, it's going to be hard to just have a bomb doing basically 100,000 damage each time to actually kill them. Probably more like 80. Actually, no, needs to be a kill the first time and then a kill when he swaps forms. That's where Nishak comes out ahead because Nishak's bombs, they place, of course, and then they activate. And once they activate, he then places poison on the enemy. This poison can be scaled even higher if you use something like Arachnelixir, wherever Arachnelixir is at, right here. If you use this on Nishak with Lethal Dose, Nishak has essentially 2 or 3 or many ways to actually deal damage. He's placing the bombs, he's lowering the duration of the bombs, he's getting the poisons placed on the enemy. All that stuff is amazing, but it's not to say Nishak is without his own flaws. One of the biggest flaws with Nishak is sometimes when you build a champion with so much attack, because he has to have a lot of attack to scale the bombs, he will actually trigger counterattacks on a lot of opponents. And if you're not running Stone Skin, which sometimes you can't because you can't make all the stats work, then you will trigger a counterattack, which will possibly kill your Nishak because he's not a very tanky champion. Mine's +4, and he still gets one shot. He gets one shot a lot by Carnage because Carnage is always going to counterattack. But even against Taras, you hit Taras and Marichka, they're going to blast the Nishak away. Whereas Crawls has a specific thing that ignores all that. He just places the bombs. He doesn't need a hit whatsoever, so it's never going to be a weak hit. He just places it. Now, though they are for 2 turns, whereas Nishak places them and then lowers the duration, which takes it to 1 turn. The enemy takes a turn, the bombs blow up. If you're somebody who watches my Siege content, you'll know that I oftentimes against Marichka teams don't even use this A2 ability because when Marichka places the block damage, if the bombs are 1 turn duration, it's going to explode the bombs into the block damage doing nothing. So I'll just use the A3, not lower anything, and then wait for her to take her turns. It's also very important to bring a lockout champion. The biggest things that will mess up bombs will be block damage as well as a cleanse. If the enemy does that, your bombs are useless. And that is another big downside of Crawls. Outside of his A2 ability, he does a little bit of damage from the hits from the A3 and the A1, but the issue that you get into with this is you're putting your best damage dealer gear on a bomber whose main damage is going to come from his bombs. He does have decent damage from his other abilities, but I really feel like you're missing out on the speed, the attack, those 2 main things if you're starting to gear him in those different ways. Also, Pinpoint being a very important gear set to have on bombers to not get polymorphed. So his damage really drops off if those bombs get missed. It's very similar to Commodus, honestly. I said I wasn't going to talk about him, but Commodus is basically the same way in the sense of you switch forms, go to the second form. If you throw your bombs out there, they get resisted or they don't kill them. You're basically just sitting around waiting to get back to another turn to do something else. Now, Commodus has an amazing first form as well. Very strong second form. He's still an amazing champion. But bombers do suffer from not doing much damage after they use their bomb skill. Now, Commodus has his A3 ability, which gives him an extra turn. Nishak, his A3 ability gives him an extra turn, so he can go into this, which is essentially lowering the cooldown of the A3. Crawls does have some turn meter boosting, which is nice, but it still feels like you're kind of just a sitting duck when you're trying to get back around to your damage. So bringing a second damage dealer may feel necessary. Between Nishak and Crawls, we're going to be using the exact same gear, except Crawls is going to have a ring that's going to add about 540 attack to him because Nishak is getting an extra 546 because of his empowerment, and Crawls actually has higher base attack than Nishak. So I want to be able to even out that attack difference, but I also want to showcase the difference in their base attack because higher base attack, but slightly lower multipliers may result in higher overall damage. Now, to test this, we're going to go over to Doom Tower because Nishak has a very unique thing in his kit that's going to make him look amazing for Dragon and different areas of the game, but make Crawls look really bad. And that's the fact that if an enemy has more than 200,000 HP, his bombs are going to deal double damage. This can make his damage in Dragon be crazy high, but Crawls will look very low in comparison. So let's see what Nishak does. Up first, we have Nishak in the good build. We're going to place the A3. It doesn't matter where we're at. All waves are going to be the same unless they're over 200,000 HP, but everything else is going to be the same. It ignores defense, so all those stats are irrelevant. 53,000. The one that was 67 had weaken on it, but 53,000, I believe it was 830. That's how much damage Nishak is doing from his bombs. Now, if we switch over to Crawls, we can see how much damage he's doing from his bombs. We're going to use the exact same build that Nishak has. We have 7,500 attack with that build. Nishak has 7,100. So the attack is higher on Crawls, but remember, Nishak is +4. Nishak also has a lower base attack than Crawls, so Crawls should have a higher total attack after all is said and done. Now, real quickly, I'll remove this ring so you can see the attack being added is about the same attack that Nishak has from his empowerment, which is that 540 number from Nishak. Basically, we have an extra like 24 attack or so. So basically, the stats have been evened out. Now we're going to put Crawls in here and see what he does as far as damage goes. We use the bombs there, and we try to lower the duration here. Let's place the weaken on somebody else. Okay, 56,562. So Nishak did a little bit less than Crawls. I believe it was at 5,300, right? 53,000, right? So Crawls' bomb damage is higher than Nishak's. Now, with that said, Nishak is going to have more ability to keep pressure longer throughout the fight. He has an A1 triple hitter. Each hit has a chance of placing bombs. So he has a much higher chance of actually being able to do damage after the initial nuking. Nishak also has the A3 that places the bombs. Well, anytime he places bombs, it's going to go into a poison afterwards, which opens up Arachne Elixir, opens up Lethal Dose, all this stuff for just more damage. And he is one of my most used champions for Siege when I don't know what else to use. Now, if you don't have Nishak, you probably don't have very many good bombers. All other bombers come with their own downsides. Lord Shazar comes with his downside of needing crit rate to have a 1-turn duration on his bombs. If you don't want the 1-turn duration, then you can place it for 2 turns. That's fine. Maybe his other abilities are good. Maybe you don't have a soul, but he is another bomb option. We have champions like Astrolith. Cool if you can spread the bombs, but they're kind of irrelevant here. Gaius, another champion who places a 2-turn bomb, and he has sleep and some other abilities. He can hit pretty decent, but if you want him to hit decent, you're going to have to build him for 100% crit rate, all that kind of good stuff. Crawls, you could, but you don't have to. And the advantage he brings is just placing bombs. Nothing extra, nothing more, just placing the bombs, and then the block actives in the A1. So now let's jump over to PvP, and I'll try to showcase some stuff where he's going to be especially useful. Now, his abilities and things in different areas do kind of seem a little bit weird because there was like some strange turn meter interactions sometimes. I'm not really sure what's going on, and it's hard to replicate it as well. But I'm going to load him up with as much attack percentage as I can get, 8,500. He is pretty fast at 330 speed, basically. And we're going to throw on a Wand of Submission. I feel like this is basically the relic you have to run with bombers because this is going to have a chance of sending back a polymorph. Wand of Submission plus Pinpoint, your bombers are going to make it through at least a few sheeps initially. Now I have some good attack percentage pieces on him overall, but this is what I would be using for like Clan Siege. If I want to throw him against an enemy team, typically what I run is something like Airbeus plus Fabian plus like an Emic plus the Bomber. And in Arena, I'll do something very similar. I'm just going to give one example with Airbeus because I don't want to keep her in the team because I know she's a mythical and is a little bit unrelatable. But I do use her because of the increased speed plus increased accuracy. But I'll show you guys some other options you can use as well. But this is just what I've literally ran so many times in Clan Siege. And I'm sure you guys have seen it as well. It's just a speed team, which for a bomber, you do have to be fast. It's going to be difficult to bomb if you're going second. You can do it, but then you become weak to cleanses, weak to protection sets, weak to a lot more stuff. We're going to strip them and place the bombs. So now they all have 2-turn bombs. That's fine. They have nobody who can cleanse anything because Fabian locked them out. That's a big thing. Like 2-turn bombs are a problem if they have a lockout. 2-turn bombs aren't a problem if you can lock them out, right? Well, if they have a cleanse champion. It's not a problem if you can lock them out with Fabian. Activate the bombs all pop. Got a weak hit on Armand's from the activation, but the bomb placing did not get a weak hit. So Armand's has bombs on him. Whereas with the Nishak, that weak hit would have stopped bombs being placed at all. Now, if we look at this team, of course, we're going to be able to handle the turtles fine. Turtles aren't going to be a problem with this team at all. We could throw another damage dealer over there if I wanted to instead of Emic, if I had another one I wanted to use, because I don't really need the unkillable here. I do need it with Nishak because Nishak places, he does a hit for his bombs, and oftentimes the Taras will just mess me up. But since his are just placing, we don't really need that as much. So got the bombs out there, remove the unkillable, and then in just a moment, we'll be able to go ahead and kill him. Petrification will just make us do more damage as well, which is great. And then we'll just pop his. I didn't activate it on everybody. I wasn't for sure how his stuff was going to work out. We'll go ahead and do that. Kill her here, and then basically it's done. Donatello, he could cleanse, but he can't because he's locked out, right? And then we'll come down here to a few other teams, and we'll jump into some Marichka team testing in just a moment. But I know Nubs had the new mythical here, and Cross is going to do good against this as well. All it is good accuracy to place it through champs with high resistance. You need good attack to kill the champs. Get a strip and a lockout champion. Against mythicals, 2-turn duration doesn't even matter. Check this out. She switches forms, she dies. Because 2-turn bomb duration, well, the first turn is when you start your turn. The second turn is when you start your mythical form, and it just kills mythical champions. So it's irrelevant against them anyways. So 2-turn, 1-turn doesn't matter. And once you use bombs more and more, you'll find times where, okay, maybe I don't want to have a 1-turn bomb. Like against this is an excellent example of where Nishak would be weaker because we have a Taras who would counterattack. That's why Emic is basically required. Now, in this case, I don't have to use Emic. I'm going to show you guys an Arbiter plus Lady Kimmy team in just a minute. Obviously, if you're able to get more accuracy, just running Arbiter is going to be the best bet and using somebody else in Kimmy's spot. But with Airbeus here, let's say I wanted to throw in, my Marius isn't built the best, but if he was faster, very unlikely, you could use him to go before your other champs. Well, let's see. We'll get Marius in here maybe. I probably have a preset for this. We should all have some presets, right? 330, 315. He's not built to hit that hard, and he's not even in Stone Skin, obviously. Yeah, he's not in Stone Skin. We'll probably go first anyways. Let's just use him. So Marius here. Now, you do have to be careful because if you do too much damage, they could have the mastery that removes a debuff from them when they take so much damage, and they could just, remove the bombs from themselves. But there we go. Fabian gets blasted. We're going to go ahead and it doesn't really matter what I do here. There's no cleanses going to come out. We'll just petrify him, and then we'll place some bombs on everybody. Now, they have block damage up. That's fine because we have Marius to get rid of that. So get rid of the block damage, and then hopefully we'll be able to, okay, I need to get rid of that block damage very soon as well, obviously. I can't do anything about that just yet. So this is a little bit of a weird spot to be. I need to strip that. I can't strip that. Marius isn't going to do much, but Siffi's dead. That's a lot of damage because of the petrification from her. 231,000 damage per bomb. It's insanity. Now we do this. I really want to remove that block damage. It could be Airbeus. It could be anybody doing the removal. If I do this, it'll be fine because Taras, well, I was hoping he'd get feared. He did not get feared. But I want her to die. I didn't mean to do that. I want her to die now. Res everybody. And then I'll just go ahead and use this clap ability. Boom. Lock him out. More bombs. Taras died to bombs, so Krawl's got an extra turn. And then we go for the A2. There we go. So this is a little bit of a, higher end team here, but it's doing really good. All right, so now I want to try a team that is going to be a bit more accessible. So we don't have the Airbeus, but you're going to have to be careful with who you run against. Obviously, these are empowered, but all that matters here is going first, having the increased attack, having the increased accuracy, locking the enemy out, and placing bombs. That's literally the only thing that matters here. So we're going to increase accuracy, go for A3, and then we're going to place some bombs on everybody. Got bombs on everybody. Nice. I'm going to try to get a weaken on him to make the bombs do a bit more damage. Maybe even a petrification would be good if I could do that. Go the A2. We'll go for some block actives. I want as much damage done to Nice as possible as soon as possible, because what happens is when that bomb explodes, if it doesn't kill him, the next one's not going to do anything either. So I need to set it up decent. They obviously all died. 77,000 damage. It kills most champs. Got a stun. He is a lockdown. Very secured. And the Nice is dead. 96,000 damage there. Very good stuff. He has pretty good player power as well, so I assume those champions are built. Let's give a test to this team. Now, I tried it a few times with a couple different variations, and this is the one I'm liking. Krawl's is like 289 speed with like 9,500 attack. Marius is a bit faster to give the increased accuracy, and we're going to use A2 with Marius here. Of course, Marius is going to do a lot of damage. Didn't realize he was going to do that much damage, but we do end up killing the Nice. I'm going to go ahead and place the bombs. Miss the bombs on Marichka. That is not very cool. We'll go ahead and try to reduce the stone skin duration. Maybe petrify him. Not quite. Try to block actives on him. That's huge, getting the block actives over there. And then, of course, when she reses people, if Krawl's is still here, hopefully he is, the Life Harvest will boost his turn meter anyways, which obviously is a massive help. At this point, this is what I'm talking about. Like, with a bomber like Krawl's, once you're using your bombs, you really don't have much damage to do at all, basically, which sucks. You're kind of just sitting there waiting. Like, it's pretty long cooldown, and you're just waiting for it to be done. Whereas a typical damage dealer, you're going to be okay. Now, we'll go ahead and buff up and then kill everybody. So, Marius more or less carried this and did all the work, basically. So, maybe this wasn't a good showcase right here at all for Krawl's, but let's try a different team. All right, so now let's try it against Mr. Viper's team here. I don't know how much resistance they have. They obviously have 2 cleansers, which could make for a pretty difficult fight here. The Marius could be a lot of different champions. Doesn't really matter necessarily because we're not going to be stripping that block damage with him anyways. Having somebody remove the block damage would be helpful. Let's hopefully lock out the... Okay, resisted. Wow. Very surprised she resisted that. Let's hopefully place up some bombs and be able to do something decent here. I think she resisted everything and can... Okay, no, she... There we go. Embry swaps. Embry should die. He dies. Tons of damage over there. He's dead. And then at this point, we're going to be... Let's petrify the Marichka. Just kidding. We don't get her. We could kill everybody else here. And then when she gets around, she's going to die as well. Tons of damage. Petrification does so much. Fabian is a really solid champion to run with Krawl's. And now all I need to do is just have it timed up. So when the Marichka dies... Krawl's is going to be able to place some more bombs, which will be now. So we'll go ahead and just A1 with Marius. Just A1s for a little bit of time. I don't want to waste his bombs just randomly. There's no reason to do that. He will get some big turn meter boost whenever he reses because of Life Harvest. Check it out. Boom. Huge turn meter boost. Okay, we do have the increased accuracy on him, which is helpful. Place the bombs, more turn meter boost. Now, if she could cleanse, it'd be bad news for me. She didn't cleanse. Doesn't matter that he's dead either. Go ahead and petrify him. Just kidding. Let's go ahead and get killed almost. Obviously, can't res right now. But I will go ahead and do this. And then, does he come back? No. I wasn't for sure if he's going to come back or not. But there we go. We kill this team with 2 cleansers. It's really all about just understanding when they're going to cleanse, how they're going to cleanse, and just working around that, basically. So we did some showcasing with crawls. I did the comparison at the beginning, but let's run through a few with Nishak. I'm going to use Airbeus, Nishak, Emic, and Fabian, which is basically a team I run all the time. Emic is missing a piece of gear because I want him to be slower than Nishak, so he can place the unkillable after Nishak goes. If not, Nishak's just going to outrun the unkillable anyways because of that extra turn he gets. So go to the A3, place the bombs. Don't reduce any of the durations. Lock everybody out. And then place unkillable. And it'll be fine. Except for the fact that Nice ignores unkillable, which is kind of obnoxious, if you ask me. Okay, the poison's over there. Very good. So even though Nishak obviously had the poisons just from, or the bombs just cleansed by the Raglan, he still has damage because of the poisons and the Arachne Elixir. Like, we almost killed the Nice there just from those few things. We're going to try to strip him again. We're going to lower the duration on my bombs. And then I'll throw some more bombs out there. It could proc Siegfried's block damage here. It does proc his block damage. Kills the Nice, which is huge. Now, we got a little bit of trouble here in the fact that Siegfried's going to just destroy my whole team, basically. Just kidding, he didn't. Thank goodness. Now, let's go for this. Boost a bit. Marichka does not have her cleanse just yet. Does kill the Emic, unfortunately. So he gets more bombs up. They can't really do anything right now because they're all petrified anyways. What I'm looking for here is just the Marichka to res and then Nishak to be able to get around and just kill everybody. Everybody's resed. I probably won't be able to get a turn here. Petrification is huge. Fabian's so good. But Nishak definitely has more pressure. So if you have Nishak, there's not going to be a whole lot of times where you're going to want to use crawls. I'm not going to be using crawls that much, if ever. There's a few situations where maybe, but in general, Nishak is just, he's probably my favorite bomber. Granted, my Commodus is a pretty low star blessing, but in general, Nishak is probably just my favorite because of how much cool stuff you can do with this kit. Place the bombs on everybody. Okay, do we lower the durations? Do we keep them where they're at? We lower them here. There's no reason to leave them there. Obviously, weak affinity to Fabian, so did not place what I wanted to there. Lock everybody out. They get a turn, and they're all dead. We get the unkillable from Emic. Bombs pop. It's so much damage. Like, they're not going to survive that much damage. We got some poisons there, and then we'll have some poisons there if we need that to kill them. But all right, let's try out one last team, and just to showcase how this is going to work, that should be a decent comparison between Crawls and Nishak. If you have Nishak, you probably don't need Crawls. Crawls has some pros, but Nishak is just going to be better in much more areas of the game. Does that mean Crawls is bad? No. He is useful. He does place the bombs. No weak hits possible, nothing like that. But as far as damage potential, Nishak just does so much more potential damage because of his poisons after the bomb with Arachne Elixir plus lethal dose. And in addition to that, Nishak also just placing bombs from his A1 ability. Control, Crawls is better. But block actives would only really be powerful if they didn't have Stone Skin and you could place it very soon after and lock them out essentially. But either way, if you want to go for Crawls, good luck. I think he's a good champion. I think you can definitely use him in Faction Wars included. But as far as being better than Nishak, I definitely rank him below Nishak, but higher than some other bombers because other bombers like Gaius, for example, place the 2-turn bombs with a sleep, which sleep is easily broken, and he still has to do a hit, so he can still get weak hits. Ultimately, I think Crawls is a useful champion, and I think he's worth going for if you don't have a bomber. He could be useful for you in Siege, but if you got Nishak, you probably don't need this dude. Other than Faction Wars, you're not going to be using him. So guys, thank y'all for watching this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.